Here we go. We're live. Let's go. Now we're good, right? Are we?
Yo, I think
Yes.
we got it.
Finally got it.
Word. All right, cool. Yeah, man, what's good with you, bro?
Chilling, man. Just hanging in here. Interesting times.
Yeah, it's different. We're rolling with the punches, but yeah, definitely. Who would have thought like 3 years ago that it was like, you know, it was like this, so much uncertainty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Well, I would welcome everybody to the Leedz Edutainment Podcast. We got super rapper, battle extraordinaire, bar extraordinaire, Mr. Copywrite. How
Thank
are
you,
you,
bro.
sir?
I appreciate it. I'm well, man. Thanks for asking, man. It's good to see you. And let me ask you, how are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hanging in there. It's not easy being a concert hip hop promoter in a COVID pandemic. I'll tell you that much.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So it's crazy because last March everything got shut down, and then people thought we were all going to get back to business here, and the Delta variant had different plans, and then then people don't want to take the vaccine that has different plans. So it's like it's far from back to business. I'll just say that.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of curveballs, man, and it's messy. You know, it's crazy. But besides all that, it's what are you gonna do, man? I will say this. I can't talk with this fucking thing. Sometimes, right, out of fucked up shit, out of adversity come good things. So I will say that the Locks versus the Locks Dipset versus was a good product because versus is a pandemic product, obviously. But yeah, no, this shit's crazy, man. I just hope that we get back to normal. I wish everybody out there the best of health and that their families are safe and that we all make it through this in one piece. The best that we can. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and we got the show. You got the show here this Saturday. I mean, you're performing in this. With Ritz at the Shaskeen, the Tour for Life
Right,
mental
right,
health
right,
awareness. You're coming
right.
out and performing in this. So, how do you feel about performing in this environment?
Well, I mean, what's crazy is we this was booked before the pandemic hit, right?
Right.
And I remember Kenny was like, he was like, it'll probably be pushed back he's like probably a couple months. I was like, I don't think so. But I mean, to me, man, look, I never stayed in the house this whole time I've been like doing shit. I like the fact that it was less people in society for a while because you didn't have to deal with shit. Cops didn't want to pull you over. You know what I'm saying? They didn't, man. Nobody wanted to. You could go do shit and not be bothered at stores and shit. So but as far as being out and performing and shit, I mean, I'm just like every other artist who likes performing. I'm really excited to get back in front of the stage. We just all had to be careful. Like I'm definitely bringing antibacterial spray for the mic. I urge everybody else to do the same. I'm definitely not dapping anybody up, but I think that we can. I think that it can be done. I think everybody just has to be responsible and just not get too comfortable. Because when you get too comfortable, is when you forget to do shit like what I'm saying, wash your hands, or you start getting too drunk, then you make out with some chick and you catch the shit or something like that. So. I think it'll be all right, man. I'm excited. I'm still excited nonetheless.
Where are you right now? I see you got the mask on in the car. What's going on right now?
Honestly, man, I'm just bullshitting. I just threw it on because I was outside and it started raining, so I came inside here and shit. But yeah.
So you just buy yourself?
I got myself with a mask on. I farted. For real. I had a bunch of Skyline chili earlier and shit. I'm on my doom shit right now, man. I just feel like wearing a mask. I have my fronts in. I feel like wearing a mask. But yeah,
that's amazing. That's entertainment.
Yeah.
So I want to take people back a little bit. I do these things where I give people the history a little bit.
Right.
Born and raised Columbus, Ohio. I take it.
Yep. East side of Columbus. Yes, sir.
What's that like?
Livingston and Elaine Road. It was like okay, so 1st to 5th grade, I was born here. 1st to 5th grade, I was out in Coral Springs, Florida, right? Then we came back here like around 90. So living up there, living in Florida is when I first heard hip hop, right? Like '98 and shit. Like when I fell in love with it, like hearing shit like DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. He's the DJ, I'm the rapper. De La Soul. Hearing like seeing Me, Myself, and I, shit like that. Hearing, you know what I'm saying? Boys in the Hood on the radio, shit like that. Then coming here, but I was like in a suburban area. Then coming here, we moved into my mom and dad had separated, so we were like in a single parent facility, like what my mom could afford. So we were in the hood, and I started like hearing all the good shit. Like basically, when I was in Florida, I was getting burnt. I was buying Tone Loc, I was buying whack shit because I wasn't hanging out with anybody who knew what was going on. Like I didn't hear BDP when it came out. You know, there's a lot of shit that I missed that I was listening to hip hop at the time, but I just wasn't in the right direction. So when I came up here, I started like PE, you know what I'm saying? DOC, just more good hip hop because I went to a school where everybody knew what, you know what I'm saying? All the hot shit. So it was different. There wasn't, and as far as hip hop scene, we had our scene was basically, it grew as we were doing music. Like there was a local hip hop scene, right? And a lot of people that did a lot of shit that laid the groundwork for us. Because if they wouldn't have done what they did, there wouldn't have been a place. Actually, the place that kicked all the shit off is a record store called the Groove Shack that's like right up the street and shit, right? So this, like, if they wouldn't have did what they did, that record store wouldn't have been there. Motherfuckers would not have been doing an open mic, and me and Camu wouldn't have got good at battling. Like, we would have never met Intellect, who he taught us how to do beats and record. We would have never met RJ. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but as far as that goes, the scene was like us adding on to it. I don't know if that's what you meant or in general. Like,
no, I'm just curious about it because, you know,
it's a little wild here. Like it's just like any other city. You know, it's got wild parts and shit and suburban spots, but it's got wild spot. It's not like cornfields and shit. Like I know some people might think when they hear Ohio, because when I hear Idaho, I think of like potatoes and cornfields and shit. But it's like it's the city, like right? It's just a regular city and shit. Like, to be honest, Cleveland seems like it would be the capital because it's a bigger city. They got a major league team and shit. You know what I mean? NBA teams. All we have is Ohio State, but it's cool, man. It's a cool little spot. Like, it's small circles. So if you're into hip hop, you run into the same people over and over. You know what I mean? It's kind of like tight knit, you know.
And when you say we,
if you're in the hip hop scene and shit.
When you say we, you talking about megahertz, correct?
I mean, it's a dope spot. It's starting to get gentrified, just like every other place in the world. You know what I mean? Oh shit! I took my headphone off. Shit! Hold on, man. Fucking this shit up.
Yeah, he's not hearing me.
So, yeah. Hold on, bro. All right. So proceed, man. My bad.
Yeah, it's all good. When you say we, you're talking about megahertz, correct?
Yeah. When I say that, I kind of mean like me and Jakai and Camu, because like we all grew up together. So like when I talk collectively like that because we all made the same steps together. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
and you're talking about Camu Tao, RJD2, Jackie the Motormouth. That's megahertz, correct?
Yep. Yes, sir. Yep. And Tage Future.
Oh,
shout out Tage.
Yeah. So that was the crew coming together in the beginning. That was, you guys were just a unit, right? Or is that was just...
Nah, that's exactly it. We were a crew, but like that wasn't the first crew that we were in. Like, you know what I mean? That was like a way later, different things. You meet different people and shit. But nah, that was it. That was the musical squad. I mean, I feel like we never got to really shine as a group. We all got solo shit and started getting like just busting moves and being able to make all these different moves and just kind of took time for granted. You know what I'm saying? And didn't really get to capitalize on the moves that we should have made and could have made, you know, while everybody was here. Rest in peace, Camu Tao, you know, and while we were all on the same page, because also people grow. Like later on, RJ, I don't think he wanted to just produce for rappers. You know what I'm saying? I think he wanted to sing and play the guitar and shit because he started from a musical background. Like his family, his mom and dad are musicians, you know? So yeah, like that's the squad, megahertz, yup.
So yeah, I want to talk about Camu Tao because, you know, he rest in peace.
Yeah,
man. So a lot of people, you know, there it is. Okay.
Yep. Salute, rest in peace, T. Rose Smith, man. Camu Tao, I love you, man.
Yeah, for people that don't know him, or or don't know little of him, talk about his importance, because he seemed to mean a lot to a lot of people, yourself and others as well.
Yeah, man.
What
Okay,
made
so
what made him so special?
man, he had like one of those personalities that when he walks in the room, like it's loud, it's electric. Everybody's gonna pay attention to what he's doing because he's just like that.
Yeah,
He was real funny. The way people, I never got the privilege of meeting Proof, but the way people describe Proof, part of it reminds me of Camus' personality. How everybody everybody who hung out with them, he made them feel like they were like the most important person ever. You know what I'm saying? Just treating everybody, just treating everybody right, and just being like certain energy that you have that's like fun, right? He's real silly. Like he walk in a room and just start talking shit with somebody on some silly shit, but real just on some bullshit, man. He just like he was big on creating energy, right? He would walk into a room and just make a noise or just do some shit, and then all of a sudden all the energy would shift on him. And I noticed little tricks. It's just little tricks that you could do by controlling people's energy and shit and shifting it. But he was an amazing person, an incredible human, an incredible artist. Like he never really got the props he deserved when he was here. In fact, he didn't think that people liked his shit. He really didn't think anybody fucked with his shit, man. But he always still was on his shit and never stopped believing in his own music. You know what I'm saying? In fact, he got more left towards when he was like King of Hearts. Like that shit's way left field. You know, he's doing a cover of My Funny Valentine. He's doing a cover of like, and then She Kissed Me. It's all like punk rock shit. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
like Killer Mike has praised Camus, Danny Brown, Kid Cudi publicly. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to all those artists. But Camus influenced and touched a lot of artists, man. A lot of people. You never got to meet him, huh?
I met him once. He was on tour. He was like hyping or performing with Cage on, I think it was Hell's Winter
Uh-huh.
tour. And he was really, just like you said, he was really cool with me. He was really like, straight up. And
Yeah.
you're right. He was kind of like experimental dude. He was on stage screaming and yelling. Oh, there's your breathalyzer.
Yeah.
For those who can't see, he's blowing into a breathalyzer, which is probably required by the state in order for him
You know,
to drive.
you know what it said? Well, it's like, okay, so I don't have to have this, but I do to have a real license. Without it, I've just got this privilege, and it's like, man, it's too much, man. The cops pull you over, it looks crazy. You got this laminate, you got to explain all this shit. So yeah, I just said fuck it, and it's actually good, man, because it stops me from drinking and driving because I was starting to slip up a little bit here and there. You know what I'm saying? It's like you give someone like me the options, and I'm gonna actually try to take it. So yeah, this shit's better for me. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. And Camus could he's the type of person where he could he's like a chameleon. Well, he's a Cancer, right? But he's like a chameleon personality wise. He could kick it with the nerds. He could kick it with thugs. Like, he lived in the hood and shit. Look at this. Ooh-wee. I don't know if you can see her or not. Sorry.
So I see the bridge. It's
Okay.
tough to make it out.
Okay. It's too crazy. So like he basically just like he there was something in almost every personality type that he could relate with and kick it with you about and talk to you about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he was nerdy. Like he's the one that got me into anime. Like he's the one that was hip to Fist of the North Star and all that shit. We met because we both draw. We met because people were telling me in high school, you got to see this dude named T-Ro draw, and people were telling him, you got to see this dude named Pete draw. And then we ended up having art class together, first period, and we drew. He was ill, and I was ill. We were looking at different ways to draw hats and shit like that. So yeah, man, that's Camus in a nutshell, man. And it's sad his time was cut so short. I know he had a lot of shit to offer, man. Like he was into acting, comedy, like a lot of shit. He definitely would have blew up by now. You know what I'm saying? Like the shit that he was on, dude. He was the first person I ever seen rocking skinny jeans, for real. The shit he was on, I think is kind of the shit that the shit that ended up being popular a little bit. You know what I mean? So I love that dude, man. That dude is one of my best friends I ever had in this world, man.
It's too
I'm a
bad, man.
severe.
I'm sorry to hear that. That he
Yeah,
passed.
nah, salute. Yeah, it sucks, man. Cancer's a bitch, man.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
young, so young to get it too.
And then
So,
me, I was holding grudges from the silly ass beef that we had, to where I wasn't even really kicking it. He was hitting me up all the time, asking me to play video games. Let's go kick it. Let's make music. And I was just ignoring it. But like after like that event taught me not to hold grudges, because I assumed that he would beat it, because he came out of remission once before, you know. So I don't really play. I don't hold grudges like that. That's why when people ask me this shit about Cage, I'm like, yeah, I'd squash that shit. Like, for what? I'm gonna be dead in like 60 years. Why not squash it? Like, who gives a fuck, you know?
no, I agree
We
totally.
don't
You
live
know,
that. Humans don't live that long, you know. Like, what are we gonna walk around being like that for? Camus would
plus,
want to see us squash it.
yeah, plus resentments are very toxic.
Exactly, it's bad for yourself, right? Exactly.
Yeah. So one other thing I want to transition into is the joint you did with RJD to June. That's actually the first time I ever heard you rap.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
2001, 2000, whatever. I mean, that was. Talk to me about that track, because that is such a powerful track. And even today, you know, me and you grew up kind of similar in that way, because I mean, my father wasn't really around, and when he was, it wasn't really that good. So, you know, I related to that track heavily. And you know, my dad had passed at that time, but he was gone. He might as well have been passed.
Right, right, right.
So, like, you know, talk to me about making that and what was going through with that, because that's, like I said, a hip hop classic in my opinion.
Yo, Leeds, I appreciate that. First off, like, you know, that means a lot to me. And yeah, that song, basically, that's the song that I made that's resonated with listeners the most. You know, that's the one that has helped people get through shit and stuff like that. So, I mean, when I made it, the beat was already made. Jakai or RJ already had the beat. It was already exactly how it is, already laid out. And I was gonna do, at first I was just gonna like do these. I had like some verses about some ex-girlfriend and shit, like 2 verses, and they were short. They were 8 bars, like the same count. So I was gonna do those in the you know, in the same exact spots, but it didn't feel right. It felt like I was bullshitting, and it felt like the beat was too emotional for what I was talking about. Some petty ass, like some petty ass. I was 18, 19, little girlfriend shit. You know, I was like, this beat is deeper than that. So then I was like, like my dad had just died like maybe a year prior. So I started writing about that, and that's and like that's the shit. Like when I wrote it, I cried, you know, and so I feel like when you do that, the person that listens to it feels the emotion that was in the air when you wrote it. You know what I mean? But that's my favorite song, because I did it early on a whim, and it had substance, and it showed me later not to be scared to open up and be vulnerable on tracks and shit, and on songs, you know, and in
Yeah.
general, I guess, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It was a great, powerful track. It was
I'm
also the
sorry.
first time.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry to hear about your. I'm sorry to hear also about the situation. I know you said he wasn't gone per se, but you know it sucks that
Yeah.
that young men have to try to piece it all together and shit with people. You know what I mean? They got people in their neighborhood they look up to. Then they got rappers, and they're trying to piece all this shit together, going through jail, trying to figure it all out. It's like you don't get an instruction manual for the shit. You know? Yeah, my heart goes
Well,
out
that's
to
why
them,
hip
man.
hop. That's why hip hop was so connected with it at such an early age, because you know rock music wasn't talking about disappearing dads for the most part. You know what I mean?
Right,
Hip
right,
hop, you
right.
could listen to hip hop, and it was like this was like a common scenario. It was like ghetto bastard and naughty by nature, like. Wow, I'm like that was the connection. It's like, oh, this is I can relate to this, you know?
It's crazy too, because I remember when that exact song was out when I was in
Yeah.
middle school, and the line "never knew my dad,"
Yeah.
motherfucker, you know, F
Yeah.
word and shit, like that shit. When that shit was out, it's like, yo, I was in middle school and my dad went around, so you could literally say that
Yeah.
word, that line, and the shit, like, you know what I mean? It's right
Yeah.
there. Yeah, exactly. Like that shit resonated.
Yeah. So moving forward,
Yeah,
you you end up signing with Eastern Conference? Is that the
yeah.
next move?
Yeah, so basically, we sought out Bobito, right? Like we went out to Philly. He used to
Yeah.
have a store in Philly and New York. One in Philly,
Yeah.
one in New York, called Footworks. They were basically like vinyl and shoes and shit like that. So we drove all the way out there to drop it off. This was like pre-internet. Oh shit, this pre-internet. So we did that, and then after that, Cage hit me up. He got my number from Bobito and said that Mighty, oh shit, he said that Mighty Mind wanted to work with me. So yeah, that's how that went about basically. I tried to get Megahertz on EC, but Milo was, for whatever reason, I think maybe he had too many artists he was fucking with or whatever. Maybe he didn't see the vision or whatever. But yeah, man. And EC was good to me, man. Like EC's responsible for a lot of people hearing me on a lot of shit, man. Mighty Mind and Eon, man. Peace out to those brothers, man. I love those cats, man. They really helped me out with a lot of shit, and you know, they put out my first record, helped me put that record out, man. That's the record that really, I'm still able to do a lot of shit because that record, you know what I mean? So, High Exalted.
And that record is the High Exalted.
Yeah,
right?
man. Yeah.
Talk about making that and some of the standout moments making that. Like, what are your highlights on that record?
Really, like, living in New York, being new to the surroundings of New York, being obsessed with hip hop, like super, like we were super purists at one point, right? Like
right.
super just backpack as backpack as you can get.
Right.
Just enamored by the fact that I could fall asleep on a couch at D&D Studios and wake up and it's Greg Nice rolling a blunt across the street or across the couch. Like that, where else would that happen at? That's so random and stupid. Like, why is it Greg Nice there? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just random shit in New York that happens. So it all adds to the excitement of doing it, making music and shit, being around that world. So, man, it was dope, man. We were happy. We're Ohio kids who didn't have, like, our outlet was like 1 or 2 open mics, if that. So now we're here. We can go. There's mad shit to do. We can go to this industry party. We can go to CMJ showcase. We can go to Bobito's show and rhyme. Like we can do a bunch of shit. It's crazy. Yo, you can go to Fat Beats and just stand outside and rhyme with Percy P all day. You know what I'm saying? Like you can do so much shit in New York. It's crazy. So man, we are loving it, man. It was dope. We were really excited. We were excited to do the Weathermen shit. Like we were happy everything was like moving the way it was moving. We kind of just took it for granted too, I think, because everything happened so fast and like smooth. Like when me and Cage started the Weathermen, right? Like he came up with the name, which was a 70s revolutionary group or whatever, but like it was our idea to come up with a crew that has a lot of diverse styles and shit, so we could basically try to run the underground, right? So, and people we like though, you know, so we were like, let's ask L if he wants to be in an LP, and I remember the day we called him. I was still working at a collection agency and shit. Like we hit him up on conference call, asked him, and immediately he said yeah. And the shit like that, like it just happened so easy. You take for granted that you got one of the illest motherfuckers in the world, like in your crew. Like it's you know what I'm saying? That your crew with them, not your crew, but like you know, it's all of our crew. But you know what I mean? It's crazy,
it seemed like Def Jux and Eastern Conference just kind of that's what it was. It teamed
That's
up.
what it was. And see what exactly. So like we were either at Mighty Mi's crib making music, or LP's crib making music. You know, so like those were the two things. We just so happened to be. We were lucky because in one corner we got, you know, it's Mighty Mind Eastern Conference, and in the other one it's another label. It was so like outlets to drop music was so abundant. I definitely took for granted. Like looking back, I should have dropped a whole bunch of shit on Def Jux. You know what I'm saying? Just because like Def Jux was the shit. It's just that my work ethic wasn't high at that point, and like I wasn't seeing things for what they were. Like shit like that doesn't happen. Like when a moment like that happens, you gotta take advantage. Like Def Jux, that was the moment, man. Like that shit's crazy. That shit's insane. Like a little, you know, like a tiny pebble of raucous turns into this other shit. Like it's ill, man.
Yeah, and Def Jux was big. Def Jux was big in Boston. That
sure.
shit made a huge impact out here.
No, for sure. I mean, you know, I was on the Robots tour. Like Boston always. Shout out to Boston. Boston's always showed love and always turned out. Yeah. Shout out to Edon. Shout out to Esso. Shout out to 7L. Shout out to Lyft. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you. Shout out to Quest. You know, everybody, man. Like the scene out there is amazing. I really love it out there. Rex, you know, I fuck with y'all, man.
It's funny. You know my boy Peter Parker, right?
Yeah.
He says his first time seeing you live, you were touring with the Smut Peddlers on that tour with MOP. And he said you were drinking Hennessy on stage and you threw it on him in the crowd.
Nah.
He was like, "Fuck copyright."
Hey, Mr. Parker, bro. Mr. Parker, I'm sorry, bro. My bad, bro. Hey, that's
So
fucking.
you performers, don't be throwing fucking drinks at the crowd. You piss off the fans.
Yo, man, I learned a lot of shit crash course. Like, dude, like I've learned a lot of shit the rough way in my career, or whatever. But yo, that was my first. That was, bro, going on tour with MOP.
Yeah,
That shit
crazy
was
back then.
crazy. Yo, that shit was crazy. Cause I'm a big rap fan. I'm a huge rap nerd. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm fans of these guys. I'm like watching them perform. And their world of music is far from mine. Like I was starting to get into the underground realm, but you know, I could see I got a show with Louis Logic. Oh, there's Necro. It's MOP, bro. It's fucking little. It's goddamn. Yo, the routines are crisp as fuck on stage. All that shit was real dope, man. Yo, what? Here's a funny story though. Like on the tour, like the first night and shit after the show, because I'm just standing there in awe watching them do Annie Up, watching them do Rugged Never Smooth remix, all kind of fire shit. Damn. And at the end, I'm giving him dap, like, you know, yo, Fame, the show was dope, man. And he's like, oh, good looking out. Thanks for coming out. He didn't know I was on the tour. It's just a white dude dapping you up. You just think it's a fan. But then the second night, the same shit happened. Then I was like, all right, I'm not talking to these guys no more. I keep thinking I'm the fan. Because, like, you know, nobody rolls in the same vehicle. That's when I started realizing, like, oh, we're on the same tour, but we don't even really talk and shit. And those guys don't go anywhere unless they could bring guns. So they weren't at the Cleveland show because they would have had to flown, and they weren't going to go anywhere without guns. Yo, Dom's funny. That's where I met King Dom at. Shout out Dom. He said that he was mad because MOP wasn't on that show, and he was like, "Yo, who the fuck are these white boys?" He said. Then I started rhyming. He's like, "All right, this ain't too bad."
Yeah. So what would Eastern Conference? What that just folds like the whole? It's just like one day the label folded. It was done.
Like, okay, so here's the situation. With me, I was still poised to drop an album on EC. It's just that when I won that Rock the Mic battle and Beehive started managing me, and Beehive was managing Dilla at the time, rest in peace. That's how I got those Dilla beats. That's what was the confusion. We had the same management, and Beehive, who's Jay's cousin and was Bleak's management at the time, he's telling me demo them all up, write a bunch of songs, do whatever, you know what I'm saying? But like it was a lack of communication, clearly, because he should have got the okay with Dilla and had Dilla know what I was doing, because I'm thinking it's all good. Anyway, when I won that battle and there was talk of me signing to Rockefeller and shit, and it really wasn't Rockefeller, it was Just Blaze. I made the choice. Hold on.
Time to blow.
Right, I hate this shit.
I guess they make you do it you guess you got to do it constantly. I didn't realize you had to do it, 10 minutes apart. Blow into a breathalyzer.
They mix it up, and then they there's a camera right there, right?
Oh,
so when I'm doing it, so like you can't have your homie do it.
They know all the tricks.
Yeah. So basically, I made in what I consider, I made a bad move. I should have still dropped something with Mighty Mind.
Yeah.
I think I was a little gassed up at the time. I think I was about to do some. I thought I was about to do some big things and wanted to make a grand leap. And you know that again, that's another lesson I learned. Like I should have put out that other album I should have put out a second album with EC. You know what I mean? Like these are the guys that put me in the game. You know, that's not how you treat people. That's not how you do that. So I had to learn a lot of shit, man. I had to learn a lot of shit. I've had to be humbled in a lot of situations for the better. That made me now more equipped to do what I want to do and do things the right way. You know what I mean? So and I agree with you. That sucks, man. But it was like, I think what it was Cage had just moved to Def Jux. Like he had just wanted to, you know what I mean? It was just like a timing thing. It wasn't calculated, but it was a bad thing. But the shitty part is that EC, which was a great label, as a result, they didn't really have any artists to put out, I don't think. And for that reason, I think they, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to those dudes. They're still doing really well, doing their thing. You know, I've got beats from Maya on my new album. That's about
Did Mighty Mind produce all of it, High Exalted?
Nah, he did like he did like 3 songs. He did Tower of Babel, Let Me In, and what's the other one?
Who did the rest of the production on that album?
he did theme music. RJ did a couple. RJ did 7 Light Years. He did Fuck Soundcheck.
Cool.
I did a couple beats. I did like 3. I did the one called 3 Words. A song called On My D. Camu did the other 3. So it was basically RJ, Mighty Mike, Camu, and then I did like one or 2.
So the Jay Dilla stuff and all the other stuff that was kind of laying around, that was, you put that on the Cruise Control mixtape?
Yeah,
Is that what that was?
yeah.
And
Basically,
I felt like that was kind of like your resurgence back into the game, because it had been a while from Cruise Control and High Exalted, and I was like, it was like, oh, Copy's back with this one. You know what I mean? I felt like that was, you were like reemerged and back at it.
yeah, a lot of people like that. It kind of serves as my sophomore a little bit, you know. I mean, even though it's more like a mixtape. And see, again,
Right.
I made that because I was trying to hold out and do my sophomore on what I thought would be a major.
Right.
You know what I mean? But either way you slice it, yeah, a lot of people like look at that thing like that. I mean, I appreciate you looking at it like that. I like that. I like that mixtape a lot. Yeah, I mean, then I came. You know what I mean? I came back to Columbus and regrouped. I had Dom and Metaphors and Catalyst and all them on it. Yeah, man.
And that's kind of when I started working with you, was around this time.
Yeah,
you know, we started doing shows and working together and did some tracks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember the time I came to Boston and I forgot. I was on tour. Somebody was parked outside while I did the verse.
Yeah.
While we laid the verse and shit. Yeah. I still remember that time. Yep. And I kept trying to figure out where Bodega was at. The store Bodega.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so from here, you know, that was like 2004 or 5. You've been steadily at it. You know, you dropped a numerous amount of projects and whatnot. But you know, and if you the battle rap scene, you didn't really, at that point, did you really participate? I've seen you in a couple things, but you kind of didn't really go into it too heavy, did you?
Yeah. So like, okay, so I grew up like street battling, right? That's how I got my delivery and shit.
Yeah.
And that's how I built my confidence up, just being in so many battles, knowing how people are going to react to what I can do and how people react to some of my shit. So what it was, of course, I was a fan of it, but Disaster hit me up. Shout out to Disaster.
Yeah.
Incredible dude, incredible MC. He hit me up and he was like, yo, we're going to do this. Because with me, there's a lot of baggage. There's a lot of ammo that people can say about me.
You're right.
And I may not have as much on them. So if I do it, I have to be careful. I have to be knowing all that, you know, and considering all this going in. He was like, he was like, look, it's a costume party. He was like, it's a theme battle. So nobody can come directly at you. Whoever your character is, that's who they're coming at, and vice versa. So I was like, oh shit, you know, like it sounded fun as fuck. So I did that, and I had a good time, and then did a couple other ones. I did one with Tenchu over in London with Don't Flop. Shout out to Tenchu, shout out to Don't Flop. That shit was dope. And I did one with No Coast against Reverse Live, and I did one Battle of the Zay. Shout out Dirtbag Dan and Fredo and shit. Yeah, I mean, this shit's fun, man. Listen, man, this shit's fun, man. It's super fun. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
For me, it takes some of these dudes for real write their rounds in their head like right before the round. Like some of these dudes' minds are insane. Seriously, man. And
a lot of bars.
Man, it's a lot of. It's crazy, man.
I feel like your albums are basically battle rap albums in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
I feel like you're one of the best to do it, in my opinion.
Thank you, man. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, there's not, you know, your punchlines, all that. I mean, you're basically a battle rapper on album.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's exactly it. That's exactly why my shit's like that, because I've been running around. Me and Jakai been running around battle rapping in Columbus and shit. And I mean, you know, we were influenced. We heard M and Royce early, you know, in '98 when they were making their radio rounds on Bobito. And I mean, I'll say I basically simplified my style because I saw the results that I could get with harder hitting punchlines. Because if you listen to the early megahertz shit, I'm rhyming more abstract and doing more like weird styles and shit, you know. But basically, I was like, damn. I started getting cool with Jakai again because we didn't talk for a little bit, and I seen the raps he was writing, and I was like, damn. I was like, I'm gonna do a little bit of what Jakai's doing. So that's basically. And I mean, shit, I catch influence from everything, man. Like I try to take bits and pieces of what I like from everybody. You know what I mean? Like I love how Big L sets his shit up. I love how Big Big L says his shit with such clarity, like it's the best. Like he's like, you know what I mean? He says it like he's reading some shit that God wrote. You know what I mean? Like I'm just a fan of the art form, man. I'm lucky to be able. I don't know how the fuck we got lucky, and I ended up being able to do this shit, even though it's, you know, when you first do the shit, you want to be on a mainstream label. You want to be big and famous and all this crazy shit. But then you get your own version of what your career is. You're like, okay, cool, all right, okay, but you still are very appreciative for it because it's insane. Like, yo, people overseas know me just from rap. If that's more impressive. Like, I don't even have no money behind me. Motherfuckers just know me because I'm dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got worldwide fame for just being nice. That's insane to me, you know, because to me, I just want to contribute to this culture and give good music. Like, I want the way I get excited when I hear new dope shit and when I get influenced. I want to keep that spinning, you know, because that's to me what it's about. It's about having music to get you through shit, having music that excites you. You know what I'm saying? Like growing up, we were spoiled, man. We had artists. Man, artists came out. I was happy as fuck. I just knew I was gonna hear some dope shit. But then after a while, you go through a thing where you get let down so many times, you kind of like get jaded and you stop believing there's good shit out there. But lo and behold, there still is, man. I listen to Earl Sweatshirt. I listen to a lot of cats that are younger that are real nice, man.
Word. So I also want to talk about, you know, that's the positive side. I want to talk about a little bit on the negative side. You know, I know you're breathing into a a breathalyzer for a reason.
Yeah.
And and you're pretty open about it. You've gone down a pretty rugged path of drugs and alcohol. And, you know, talk about the struggle there and how you deal with that and everything. Because, you know, I'm a recovering addict. I've been sober 12 years, so I know the struggle is real. And so, you know, talk to me about that.
Hats off to you on that. That's dope. Man, my addiction basically crept up on me. Like growing up, I didn't realize it, but at the time I was addicted to drawing and making music, you know? And then later, you know, they say there's an invisible line that you cross when you become an addict, when the addiction kicks in.
You keep crossing it.
Right.
keeps getting pushed back, the line.
Right. There was at one point where that addiction was music and drawing, and then later it ended up, you know, somehow let's see how much of this poison I could put into my body and still function, you know, or let's make things more challenging. Let me throw this in the mix and see how fun this is. But then that shit gets to where you can't drop it. Like at first it was my choice, but then later it became something that had control over me. Like I couldn't go to a show and not drink or not want to drink. Even if I said beforehand, like, I'm not going to drink tonight. I get there and I just go get a shot. Even if it's on the low, I just go get a shot. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that, depending on who you are and what your plan is. But my thing was I was mixing that shit with Xanax and shit that you simply can't mix that shit with that. You know what I mean? Like, that's a recipe for a blackout. So, yeah, man. Like, at first, my shit was me just doing it for fun, right? Drugs, it was like everybody was still pretty much alive. My dad had passed, but, you know, I wasn't trying to numb any pain. I was just having fun. And then it ended up being something that I couldn't shake. And later on, like, when like, my mom passed and, like, just later on through shit, like, I was with this one chick for like 5 years, and when we broke up, it was rough on me and shit. So shit like that was when I was using it as a coping mechanism. You know what I mean? And then that's the time when I was trying to stop and like getting all this shit. Like, bro, I got 6 DUIs.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I remember you mentioning that. Don't you have like a no alcohol tattoo that you put on your body or something? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I remember that.
It just means no martinis. I could drink everything else, just no dirty martinis. That's all that is. But that's how serious it was. I was in jail for a DUI. Well, that's how desperate I was, I should say, to try to make a change. Even though something silly like, let me put this, when I get out of here, I'm going to put this thing on my wrist so that every time I try to go order a drink, I'll get reminded. And I drank so much with this shit. You know what I mean? But that, to me, that just shows like desperation of me trying, because that's not going to change. You putting the here, oh fuck it, let me draw this hamburger on my arm. Now I'm just going to eat hamburgers all year. That's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? Nope. You have to put steps into action. But that's like the cry that I was doing. But yeah, like I actually went through NA and AA and all that, and I believe it works. You know what I'm saying? I know it works. I smoke weed and shit now. You know, like I basically found. And like I can drink, I'll drink a little bit here and there, but I don't really get too much out of it. Like for me, if I start drinking, it turns into a contest where I start seeing like how fucked up I can get to myself. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm enjoying it socially. I'm like, let me see how let me see how faded I can get and still be functional. You know, and that's not productive, man. That's not good for someone like me. Somebody who's bipolar and suffers from depression, that's not smart for me to fuck with a depressant like that. You know what I mean? Like it's just,
so you have you been diagnosed bipolar?
Yeah, rapid cycle. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, nah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I've tried meds, but I don't like what the meds do for me. They kind of like they kind of like zombie me out. You know, they kill my creative shit. They kill my personality, and I don't know, I just don't like it. Life becomes like really boring. Like everything becomes boring. So I just try to deal with it. You know what I mean? I know when I get manic. I know when I'm moody towards others, and I just like isolate. You know what I'm saying? Or go work out or do some shit like that.
And I'm imagining the creative process of making music helps.
Definitely does. Yeah, definitely does. Yeah. Especially if it's some emotional shit. There's something that has a meaning to it for sure. Yeah.
So where are you at now with it all?
With all the
the whole thing,
drinking,
you know,
and stuff.
Dealing with mental health, drug addiction, music. Where are you at?
So I've got a couple albums about to drop on Man Bites Dog this year. So like real soon. I stopped making announcements before shit drops because it makes it less fun for the you know what I'm saying, for the listeners and shit. But I got a bunch of shit about to drop. Basically with the mental health shit, I'm probably better than I've ever been, I would say, only because I've but I've learned how to kind of recognize my patterns of how things that I do and do things to counter it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because some days I'm really fucking negative towards everything, right? And on those days, I don't need to get online. That's why some days you won't see me online. That's why some days you won't see me posting for a while. It's because I can't. I'm. You know what I mean? I can't deal with the way the internet is when I'm like that. Because all I'm doing is seeing people, and all I'm doing is lashing out in my head at every single thing I see in a negative way. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So basically, and then with the drinking and shit, I'm in a good place. Like. I'm in a good place. Hold on, let me hit the alcohol blower. Basically, man, I spoke too soon.
There it is. It is. And back to the drinking. Let me hold on. Let me blow into this breathalyzer.
Right. See, like for me, hold on.
If it holds you accountable, I ain't mad at it. So
Yeah, I like. Basically, what it'll boil down to is, do I want to drive my car or be stranded and buzzed and drunk? And I'll choose, like, I'm not about to be like buzzed and bored and stuck somewhere, can't drive and shit. So I'll just be like, fuck it, I just won't drink. And in the times that I do try to drink, I tried it one time since I had the blower, and then tried to like time it so I could leave. It shit don't work. I was there till like 7 a.m. I was like, I had to Uber home and shit, waiting for my BAC to drop. Because in addition to that, I've also got this one. I've got this one, but this one's not connected to anything. This is just like the demo. This is so I could test before I do the real test, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to say that, some people just can't drink. And I would say that I think me and you are just in that category.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just what it is. We're not alone,
Nah, it's definitely true. And it's hard to accept that at first because, like,
well, I also think it's like in this music industry, it fuels it a little bit, because we're in an industry where we're in bars, We're in clubs. There's booze everywhere. Everybody wants to get fucked up with
Oh
us.
yeah.
It feels like a tool almost, right?
Oh
Like
no,
it feels,
for sure.
right?
And then also it helps you get on stage and perform. Like, you know, you
Right.
might be having anxiety, you take a shot or two, but then when you get on stage, you're like, yo, somebody bring me, I used to be good for that. Could somebody bring me a vodka Red Bull, like
Yeah.
on stage rapping, bro? Why don't you shut the fuck up and rap? Like, you drunk ass, like you're trying to get fans to bring you. Yeah, like that shit's crazy. That's when your artistry, that's when you have to ask yourself, am I up here trying to entertain myself? Is this for me? Am I doing all this so I can enjoy this? Or am I bringing my art to somebody else? And then when you answer that, you got to tighten up. Okay, well, if it's not for me that I'm up here for, then let me not be drunk. Because when I'm drunk, I'm up here for me. Like I'm the only one really enjoying it if I'm drunk up here. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Yeah.
crowd is not feeling it like you are when you're drunk. That's like a self-indulgent thing.
It is tough, man, because I've seen a lot of artists that just need to, just down a bunch of booze to get on stage, man. I've seen it,
Yeah.
and the older you get, it's less pretty. I'll say that.
It is. It is, especially when you start depending on it, or
Right.
like, because it can be fun. Like when okay, so here's when I
But
started.
it seems like fun went out the window a long time ago for
Yeah,
us.
yeah, no, for sure. Like, okay, when I first started doing like any drugs or drinking, I was straight edge till I was 23, pretty much. I started doing drugs living in New York around Cage, like when he would have shit and I'd be like, well, fuck it. I felt like I had enough brain cells because I hadn't done drugs up to that point that I could afford to do it. And that's just a stupid ass way of thinking. I mean, to be honest with you, man, I really straight up wish that I never really would have even started smoking weed, because I love weed now so much there's no way I could stop. But my brain was so goddamn sharp, bro. My freestyle used to be amazing. Like my brain, my memory was crazy, like insane crazy. So I really wish I wouldn't have started that. I tell anybody who hasn't started smoking, don't smoke weed, don't drink, don't do any of that shit. Because all you're gonna do is later on try to quit it or try to like stop doing it as much. Trust me. My mom's an alcoholic. Yeah, my mom had one of these in her car. I know how the old ones are because I used to take her car. I used to blow into this bitch and steal her car. So I know how the old ones were. You used to have to blow it once and you'd be good for the whole time. So that shows you alcoholism runs in my family. I've seen this shit happen, and it definitely sneaks up on you, man. It snuck up on me, and
Well, it's like one day, yeah, it's like it's definitely generational.
yep.
You're fighting generations of this shit. It's
And
in your DNA.
it could kill you. Like you could be drunk and hit somebody,
Yeah.
and come out of your drunken stupor and be like, oh, I'm doing life. Yo, I was locked up one time. It was this dude in a wheelchair, right? He basically he didn't, and this isn't even credited to alcohol or drugs. He just didn't want to pull over and take a nap. He was tired driving from a family reunion. Fucking dozed off, hit someone, killed him. Now he's in a wheelchair. Woke up, but now he's in a wheelchair and he's doing life because he fucking didn't want to take a nap. Yo, your decisions, man. There's consequences for your actions.
For
And
real.
yeah, man, alcoholism is has been one of my major downfalls. You know what I'm saying, with a lot of shit rap related. So it's just better for me not to fuck with it. But salute to everybody who does it. I have friends that drink and they know they could drink around me, and I'm not tempted when I'm focused. It's not, because it's not something that's desirable. What it does for them, it doesn't do for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I said, it's not fun
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah, yeah. Nah, exactly.
None of this tragedy is fun.
Nah. And then on top of that, you lose money. You spend money to piss. It turns into piss. Let me go buy this liquid and change it to piss. I'm gonna spend $60 doing it tonight.
I remember the first time I heard Brother Ali say that on stage. He's like, don't spend all your money just to piss it out. Go buy the
Right.
CD in the
No,
back.
that's real. That's so real. It's real, man. And it's not good. I mean, come on. On top of that, it's not good for us. But yeah. But yo, salute, man. 12 years. That's amazing, man. Like
Day at a time, brother. Day at a time.
I can't even say I've had clean time like that. My shit's not even clean time. Mine's like I'll still do shit. I just kind of, you know what I'm saying? I love it so much I won't part with it, and I just found ways to deal with it. That like, or still keep it. That's the realistic thing of my shit. So my hat goes off to you, bro, because that's like the real shit. You know what I mean? Hold on, man. Hold on. Hey, yo, Sean, what up? Copy.
Yeah. but
I don't fucking know who I am.
it's all good.
Yo, it's Copy. What up? What's up?
Now this is entertaining.
Yeah. This is my dude that works for the radio and shit. My guy that works for the local radio shit out here. What's up?
Copy. We'll wrap this up right now.
Why you acting like you don't know who the fuck I am, bro? I've been chilling, man. What's up with you? See you face to face, man. Hold on, I'm wrapping up this interview. Oh, my bad. You good, bro? Yo, man.
All right, Copy. We'll let you go, man. I really appreciate it. And the show, like I said, the show this Saturday at the Shaskeen, Manchester, New Hampshire Tour for Life. Ritz is on the bill. A few others on it as well. Shout out Full Blast.
Shout out Full Blast. Shout out Rich. Shout out you. Thank you, Leedz. Shout out Boston, Mass. I'm also on the show after that with Rock Kim. I basically just said, we got to work something out, man. I got to get on. I just really want to see Rock Kim perform. I seen him one time before, and he's one of my favorites, and he's incredible. And I mean, yeah, man. So it's gonna be dope, man. Salute. He's doing a wonderful thing. Kenny with Full Blast. If you got things going on, if you're going through some tough times or whatever mentally, you're not the only one. So definitely reach out. Definitely reach out. I've fantasized about suicide so much. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, don't just know you're not alone, and please seek help, because what you may feel in a moment, the repercussions of that last way longer if you make a hasty decision. So just, reach out, talk to people. You are loved. You are not alone. And shout out to you, Leedz. Thank you, bro.
No doubt, Copy. All right, well, thank everybody for tuning into the Leedz Edutainment Podcast with Copywrite. We'll see you all later.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.